Yo, what happened the night Tupac died?
Where everybody try to fatten their pockets.
He rapped about gang violence on the streets. Tupac Shakur, a West Coast rap legend loved by millions. His life suddenly cut short after a gunman opens fire on the BMW he's riding in with hip-hop mogul Suge Knight on the Las Vegas Strip in 1996. Now, nearly 3 decades later, True Crime News is tracking the investigation with former Compton gang investigator Robert Ladd. He co-authored the book, Once Upon a Time in Compton, and has intimate details about what went down the night Tupac was killed.
There were 4 people in the Cadillac, which was the vehicle used to shoot Tupac. And the initial information that we got was Keefe D was a driver, T. Brown was in the front passenger. There was 2 people in the back, the shooter Orlando Anderson and another guy, DeAndre Smith. They're all 4 were Southside Crip gang members.
That's crazy.
Now self-proclaimed Compton gangster Dwayne Keefe D. Davis sits behind bars. The man finally accused of being the great Tupac's cold-blooded killer.
Brag about it everywhere.
I ain't killed nobody, never did, ever kill nobody.
Keefe D. recently claiming his innocence in an interview with ABC News. Davis was expected to face a jury in March, but his murder trial is now delayed 1 year. What hasn't changed is his defense, claiming he was hundreds of miles away in Los Angeles the night of the murder. There's just one problem.
His biography talks about how he had the gun and he put it in the back seat.
James Bryant, a partner with the Cochran firm in Los Angeles, doesn't represent Keefe D, but after following the case, he says proclaiming innocence could be challenging, as Keefe D repeatedly bragged about being there.
He had these interviews where he's talked about being, driving up to this motorcade and they fired shots. That is problematic.
In fact, in his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, Davis literally says he's the last living eyewitness to Tupac's murder, a claim he backed up in multiple interviews, including on the Art of Dialogue YouTube channel.
So how did you know Tupac and Suge was in the black BMW?
He was hanging out the window.
Tupac?
It's so stupid.
Doing?
Got half his body out the window. You know, they just want to be flamboyant. You know what I'm saying? Want to be seen.
He then offers a detailed description of Tupac's body being pierced by bullets.
It's like he was doing a breakdance trying to jump in the back seat or something. Yeah. Like, damn. What the?
Could Keefe D's own words be used against him in the murder trial? Or will the Compton gangster be able to slip by a guilty verdict and find a witness to prove he's innocent on the tough streets of L.A.?
They've got to find something, right? They've got to find something to create reasonable doubt. You know, the thing is it reasonable to believe that he wasn't there? If they have some compelling evidence that may present that, possibly. And I think that's why the court continued the trial, to at least give him that opportunity to present that if that is the case.
Keefe D's defense attorney has stated the trial delay is necessary because they have other witnesses to interview. But after decades of investigation, who?
All the other people in the car are dead now that were in the Cadillac, and they really don't have any eyewitnesses that can ID anybody.
Robert Ladd says to fully understand what happened to Tupac requires a deep dive into the world of gang life, rap, and revenge, all over jewelry.
During his time, Suge Knight gave all his entourages, certain people, these necklaces that were highly prized by these guys. Their death row necklace worth a lot of money. And supposedly that there was a bounty on this necklace from Bad Boy Records because they had the East Coast, West Coast feud going on.
That's crazy.
All the players involved in the Tupac murder were from the city of Compton because you had Suge Knight's entourage, who are a blood gang in Compton called the Mob Pyrus. That's who he surrounded himself with. and they got into it with a Southside Crip gang member from Compton.
Now 61, Keefe D sits in a Las Vegas jail accused in the killing of rap icon Tupac Shakur decades ago. But at one time, he was a leader in the Southside Compton Crips. Robert Ladd and his late partner Tim Brennan co-authored the book Once Upon a Time in Compton. They detailed their roles in the investigations into the killings of Tupac and East Coast rapper Notorious B.I.G.
Explain to me how the Compton Police Department and the gang unit was involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur.
The head of security at the time was Reggie Wright Jr. His father was our boss. He was lieutenant in charge of the gang unit. So when Tupac was shot, his son called his daddy and said, hey, Tupac was just shot in Vegas and it's coming back to Compton because the Southside Crips, which is a gang in Compton, was responsible for the shooting.
After his murder, Tupac's star continued to rise, earning multi-millions from his rap records and notoriety in the hip-hop world.
Dear mama.
According to Ladd, the seeds for his killing were planted at a shopping mall outside Compton, and there's an alleged Diddy link.
A couple months before he was shot, one of the guys in their entourage, Suge Knight's entourage from Death Row Records, he was at a mall here in Lakewood. And during this time, Suge Knight gave all his entourages, certain people, these necklaces that were highly prized by these guys, they're Death Row.
That's where the streets said the supposed Diddy connection came in.
And supposedly that there was a bounty on this necklace from Bad Boy Records because they had the East Coast, West Coast feud going on.
The Crips associated with Diddy's Bad Boy Records reportedly tried to snatch one of those chains to cash in on the bounty worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Diddy denied any involvement in Shakur's murder. Months after the mall incident, the rival gang members headed to Vegas to watch Mike Tyson fight. They came face to face in the lobby of the MGM Grand.
Well, the guy that they tried to snatch his chain from, he was in that entourage, and he sees the same guy standing over there, and he points him out to Tupac Shakur.
The violent brawl was captured on hotel surveillance cameras. Decades later, Las Vegas police narrated the footage for reporters. They noted the man being beaten, Orlando Anderson, would allegedly fire the shot that killed Tupac.
Tupac Shakur, who's wearing a shiny satiny shirt, along with Marion Suge Knight, who's a large man in a brown suit, punching and kicking Orlando Anderson. Following this incident, you'll see hotel security intervene, and then they will leave the area of the fight.
Walked away.
Little did anyone know that it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur.
Anderson, Keefe D's nephew, was said to be furious.
So who did pull the trigger?
All the information we had was Orlando Anderson.
And where's he now?
He's dead.
Police say there were 4 people in the white Cadillac involved in Tupac's killing. Keefe D, Orlando, and 2 other men. Keefe D allegedly passed the gun to his nephew.
He admitted in his interviews that he handed the gun back to Orlando and DeAndre Smith in the back seat.
With his book and interviews making headlines, the Compton gangster was taken into custody 27 years after Tupac's murder. He was living a quiet life in Nevada when cops scooped him up in 2023.
All right, sir, go and have a seat right in here.
Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson said one of Tupac's alleged killers had finally been ID'd.
This is the indictment we've been waiting almost 3 decades for. A Clark County grand jury has indicted Dwayne Keith Davis with 1 count of open murder with use of a deadly weapon with a gang enhancement.
But Keefe D pleads not guilty to first-degree murder. He now remains jailed on $750,000 bail, which he apparently can't pay.
What his attorneys argued that he wasn't necessarily a flight risk, but $750,000 bail for a murder case is actually not all that high.
It's not.
Ladd believes Keefe D played too loose with his words.
He
He's
did.
living in Vegas.
He was
and
just
he's
too cocky.
Just basically flaunted it in their face, right? Saying that, hey, I did the murder. So they did a search warrant and they felt that they had enough to arrest him on it because of his self-incriminating statements.
Keefe D now says he made those statements for entertainment value and to sell books.
If prosecutors can play these interviews and they can read excerpts of his book, they have a very strong case.
It's almost guaranteed those interviews will be front and center in court because Las Vegas police say they're a gold mine.
He provides his own series of statements that are very consistent with the evidence that we have on the scene that we've obtained through our investigation. I'll leave it at that.
Robert Ladd says there's one person who could positively
snitched on himself.
ID Tupac's killer.
I believe that Suge Knight saw who was in that car, especially Keefe D, because they grew up together, they played Pop Warner football together, so he knows who was in that car, but he won't say anything.
Damn.
So shame on him.
Damn, what the fuck? That's crazy. Go like, subscribe, card, educate you, R.I.P. Pop. Ooh.
Bye, have a great time.